2021 has come with so much change for me, but where there's change, there's lessons to be learned. So I thought I'd take the time to sit down with you and have a chat about the things that 2021 has taught me. My first and biggest tip is to address issues before they address you. And this is probably the biggest thing that I learned over 2020 and 2021, and I definitely learned this one the hard way. I had a lot of emotional and painful situations occur just before and during the first lockdown, so in 2020. And I felt like I dealt with them in a really healthy way, starting this YouTube channel, really putting loads of effort into my physical health. But it turns out that that was very superficial, and I actually had not addressed anything that was going on underneath. And that actually came back to haunt me this time last year, a long time after it had actually happened. And when I say address your issues, this looks different for everyone. So for me, that involved therapy, a lot of talking to people, discussing how I felt, and allowing myself to really feel all of the emotions that I don't think I ever let myself go through properly at the time. And I also took time out of university to better my mental health and to really understand and redefine who I am and who I want it to be. Trust me when I say this, it's worth taking the time now to work through everything that you have been through or you are going through properly so that you don't have to do it later on. My next point is that change is inevitable. We've all seen this throughout lockdown, throughout COVID, throughout the last 2 years, where life was quite literally flipped upside down for so many of us in a way that we never thought we would ever have to deal with. Things will always change, no matter how well you set yourself up, no matter how many goals you set, no matter how many habits you create, or how much planning you do. There will always be situations that we cannot control and that we may not expect. It's life, it happens. But what's really important in situations like that is the mindset that you have and the outlook that you take on it and how you move forwards with it. Number 3 is that self-worth and self-respect have to come above everything. To be treated right by others, you must first learn how to treat yourself right. And this goes for all relationships you will ever have, whether that's romantic, familial, work-wise, any acquaintances, anyone that you ever meet. In every single encounter you ever have with anyone else, and in every single encounter you ever have with yourself. Having that strong foundation of knowing who you are, what you're worth, what you deserve, and how you want to be treated makes it very difficult for people to stay in your life if they try to treat you any other way. Next up is one of my favorite things to tell people is that consistency is the key to success. I have been preaching this for years, more so for my sake than for anyone else's, but consistency is one of the greatest tools you could ever have to reach any of your goals. We live in a world of instant gratification, whether that's posting on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok and waiting for the likes to come in, whether that's submitting a piece of work and waiting to be praised for it. We live in this world where everything we do, we are expecting an immediate response and expecting something to happen straight away. I felt for a long time that I have been going to the gym consistently and I'm still not seeing the progress and getting the results I want to get. I've been posting consistently on Instagram and trying to post as much as I can on YouTube and still not seeing results. And I remind myself a lot that if I'm not seeing the results now while I am doing all of those steps, I'm definitely not going to see results if I stop and I give up. Don't give up. Stay consistent. It will be rewarded. And it tends to be that the longer the wait, the greater the reward. So keep learning, keep doing what you're doing, and the rest will follow. Next is that in your life, people will come and go. My mum has always said to me that you have different types of friends, and she says that you have friends for a reason and friends for a season. And what this means is that you'll have different people in your life that serve different purposes. For example, your friends for a reason might include childhood friends that you've grown up with, you've known forever, and you may not see all the time, but you love them anyway. Friends who you see at parties or when you go out and you know you'll have a good time with them. Or friends who you share hobbies with or interests and maybe you met them doing that particular thing. Friends for a season means that you might be friends with someone for a period of time due to a certain circumstance that you're in or somewhere that you are physically. For example, those friends that you make at uni or at school that you hang out with a lot and then you don't really talk to when you leave. Friends that you meet when you're traveling who you then struggle to keep in contact with when you're apart, etc, etc. Even though I've known for a long time that you have friends for a reason and friends for a season, it's really hard to put that into context sometimes. It's so important to understand that it is totally normal and natural for people to come and go and drift in and out of your life, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing. And being able to understand that and to cherish every relationship you have with people and to draw upon the things that you've learned from your relationship with them is the key to all connections. Number 6 is surround yourself with the right people. And I use the word right quite loosely because right is different for everybody. But that core group, those core people that you spend a lot of your time with, are so important. There's an old saying that says you can tell a lot about someone by the 5 closest people around them. Surrounding yourself with a group of supportive, understanding and like-minded people is one of the greatest things you can do, not only for your individual success and for you to grow and develop as a person, but also to help others around you do the same thing. My next point that I think is so important is to never stop learning. There's a 3-word saying that I absolutely love that is, knowledge is power. I think it's very easy, especially for those who have just left university or have left school, to stop learning. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that often we associate learning with sitting in a classroom, sitting in a lecture hall, taking notes from a textbook or from someone talking at you about a subject you don't really care about a lot of the time. When you think about it like that, it's no surprise that a lot of people are desperate to get away from learning and to stop learning. But the most successful and powerful people in life never stop learning. Now is a great time to redefine what learning means to you. You no longer have to sit and revise for exams that you don't really care about or listen to someone that you don't particularly like talking at you. You now have the power to decide what information you want to take in, what subjects you want to learn, and in what form that takes place in. You have the power to decide and to redefine what knowledge means to you. My next tip links in with the last one in that you don't have to read. And this is something that I learned really recently. I have a bookshelf full of books, and every time I go to a charity shop, I love to find new books. I constantly have a list of books that I want to buy and things that I want to learn about. And yet I find that even though I have all of these books on my bookshelf, I don't often have time to sit and really get into a book. And the time that I do read tends to be before bed, and in all honesty, I start to fall asleep. So I have recently started listening to audiobooks on Audible, and it is honestly life-changing. And I know that this might seem a little bit backwards because technically while you're listening, you're not reading, but you are still consuming the same information that's in the book, just in a different form. And when it comes to learning, you have to optimize it in a way that works best for you. And for me, I love to listen. Listening to audiobooks allows me to take in the information from those books at times where I otherwise would be unable to read. For example, cycling into work, walking to and from my house, or sometimes even when I'm at the gym. I do make sure that when I'm listening to these audiobooks, I am not actively doing something else. So when I'm listening, it's times when I don't need to use my brain for anything else. I try not to listen to books while I'm working because I find that it just muddles things and I don't actually take in the information from the book as well as I would if I was cycling. Next is do what you say you're going to do. I've touched upon this before, but I think that the most powerful people in the world are the people that follow through with what they say they're going to do. Being someone who sticks to their word not only makes you a trustworthy friend to other people, but also helps you to really establish that as a part of your identity. Follow through with your words and let the actions speak for themselves. Next is to be open to opportunities. I think a lot of us think that we are open to opportunities, and while we might be, there are times when we could definitely be more open than we currently are. For me, at the moment, a lot of people are asking me what's next. So after I finished this year's teaching, what comes next? And I honestly have absolutely no idea. But in giving that answer, I have been thinking and considering jobs in a whole bunch of different fields, in a whole bunch of different companies, doing a whole bunch of different things that I never even thought about before. And in doing so, I've had lots of opportunities come my way for next year. Keep an open mind and I promise you something will turn up. And finally, perhaps my favourite point, because it goes against everything that I thought I would ever say, embrace the chaos. This is actually something that teaching has taught me, and especially teaching younger kids. I find that I'm very quick to jump into action and to try and make a plan when something looks like it's not going the way it should, rather than just letting it unfold and seeing what happens. And while it's great to be proactive, sometimes the best thing is to just let something sort itself out. By working with what's actually happening in front of you instead of constantly trying to change things, you'll often find that things work out for the best anyway. So those are the lessons that 2021 has taught me and all of the little things that I have picked up over the last year. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you learned in 2021, so let me know in the comments below. And if you're not already subscribed, please hit that button. It means the world to me and helps to support me and my channel. But until then, I will see you in the next video.